The next chapter is called the Church of the Desert. So we're going back to France now, because when we hear about the Church of the Desert, we're talking about the French Huguenots. Who are the Huguenots? Fancy word for French Protestants. So in France, Henry IV was assassinated. This is picking up the history from last class now. Henry IV was assassinated in 1610. They named his 8-year-old son king. Is an 8-year-old king very effective? Who's ruling when you have an 8-year-old king? Someone else is ruling. In this case, it was his mother, Marie de Medici. Have you heard of the Medicis before? Okay, Italian family, very powerful, very influential. So Marie, who was part of that family, collaborated with the gang back in Italy, also collaborated with the Habsburgs since they were Catholic. She married the young king to a Spanish princess. Remember, Spain was Catholic. We see all the ties here. So what we're doing is we're setting up France in the midst of this Huguenot territory. All the French Protestants now have this king who's very influenced by Catholic voices and who's married off to a Catholic family. Louis XIII, when he was about 20 years old now, his closest advisor was a cardinal in the church. We know that the cardinals are the rank right below the Pope, the ones who elect the Pope. So his name was Cardinal Armand de Richelieu. Cardinal Richelieu we hear about in history books because he was the rising star in the French court and was the king's most trusted advisor. What was he interested in? He was interested in his own power, the king's advisor. That's quite a responsibility. And he was interested in the power of the French crown. Cardinal Richelieu was going to see to expanding his power and the power of the French crown. He supported the Protestants in the 30 Years' War. Why would a Roman Catholic cardinal support Protestants in Germany? Because if we are able to divide Germany, right, then our Catholic friends over there won't become too powerful for us to be able to contend with. So he was very much thinking about the political maneuvering that he had to do. He united France through the seizure of Huguenot fortified cities. He thought to himself, he's a smart man, right? There's one way. There are two ways that you're going to power in this world. Organizing people and organizing resources. The Huguenots, the French Protestants, organized their resources into fortified cities. Ooh, that becomes difficult. We have to find a way to be able to break up these fortified cities so that they're no longer as strong. Once you broke up the fortified cities, then he could publish an edict of toleration, tolerating Protestants. So long as they have fortified cities, they're dangerous. Once we break up those fortified cities, they no longer have those resources, then we can allow Protestantism. That was under Louis XIII. Louis XIV, have you heard of St. Louis, Missouri? Who is that named after? St. Louis. St. Louis the 14th, the Sun King. Why? What does it mean to be the Sun King? He was going to shine. He was not going to let someone else shine. Under Louis XIII, who shined under Louis XIII? First his mother, of the Medici family, and then after that his advisor, Cardinal Richelieu. Those are the people who shined. No. Louis XIV said, I'm going to be the one who shines here, the Sun King. He proclaimed the liberties of the French church, or then we called it the Gallican Church, against Rome. And he took measures to stamp out Protestantism in France. He abolished the Edict of Nantes in 1685 and instead issued the Edict of Fontainebleau, making it illegal to be a Protestant in France. We heard of the Huguenots, French Protestants. You can no longer be a Huguenot in France. It is illegal to be Protestant, to be a Huguenot in France. And so what happens if you're a French Protestant? You probably you either have to decide, am I going to change religions or am I just going to move somewhere else? What did most French people do? Just move somewhere else. What did that do? It's important for us because what happens is when we hear of the French Revolution, the economic conditions go back to that decision of Louis XIV saying you have to be Catholic and if not, get out. They got out and that created the economic conditions for the French Revolution, which later set off the American Revolution. So all of these events are leading to us being who we are today in Europe and in the New World. The king, was he able to stamp out the Huguenots? No. Instead, they started to call themselves the Christians of the desert. Do you remember the early history of the church? Who were the desert fathers and mothers? Did they live in cities? No, hence the name, the Desert Fathers and Mothers. Where do they live? In the desert, right? And so what happened with the Huguenots, they were no longer living in the cities of France. They were in exile, for lack of better words. They were the Church of the Desert. The Church of the Desert survived. Louis XVI, who was the grandson of Louis XIV, finally decreed religious tolerance in 1787. Think about how many years passed then from the time that all this got started in 1517 with Luther. Finally in France, we came to religious tolerance in 1787. 270 years of fighting until we woke up to our senses and decided to be tolerant of one another's religion. 270 years. The 30 Years' War in Germany created a distrust of dogma and dogmatism. In France, Voltaire, have you heard of Voltaire? Voltaire is the pen name of a man who started writing, and he was very critical of the church. He defended Protestantism. Why? Because he was a Protestant? No. Simply because he thought that these ignorant Roman Catholic people imposing their dogmas and doctrines onto others, there's something that's not right about that. So he would end up writing out against that. So that's the Church of the Desert, the situation of the Huguenots in France. We tried to stamp them out under a few Catholic kings. Didn't happen. Finally, in 1787, we let them be who they are.